questions, please raise your hand. We've got the microphones around the room. Dave, back right on one.
Jalen, Dave McBennett with ESPN, way in the back to your right. You got Kyrie Irving on the other side of things, former teammate of yours, and certainly one of the better players in the league with the ball in his hands. What was it like having him as a teammate? How was that formative in your career, and just the defensive challenge of going up against a guy like him? What does it take to stop him?
Well, I think it was that was like 5 questions. I think it was great. Definitely learned a lot from Kyrie while he was here, and it's been great to see his journey, to see where he's at, all the stuff that he's gone through, and stuff like that. To be where he's at, it's amazing. It's dope to see. How to stop him? That's a great player over there. So it's gonna be a full team effort. Him and Luka, making sure that we're alert, making sure that we're back in transition, and do the best we can.
Vinny, towards the back, right.
Jalen, Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. 2 years ago doesn't seem like a long time ago, but in basketball world, it can be forever. How are you guys a different team? How are you a different person and player from 22 when you guys were in the finals the first time?
Yeah, you learn and grow from your experiences. From being a 25-year-old to being a 27-year-old is a big difference. Yeah, I'm 27. And you learn from those experiences. We got a different team. We got a different coach, too, as well. You know, now we had Ime Udoka. Now we got Joe Mazzulla. We had Marcus Smart, Rob Williams. Now we got Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Got a different team, different coach. 2 years later makes a pretty big difference. Yeah.
Michael, third row in the middle.
Michael Pina, The Ringer. Jalen right here. What does Brad Stevens mean to you, and what does he mean to this organization as just someone who's been here for over a decade now?
I think Brad has been great in his role as GM. He was a great coach, and I think he just continued that by just being a great GM, being able to put the right pieces together and things like that. And it's happy for him. His schedule's been able to settle out, probably putting a little bit less stress on him than we did when he was coaching us. But no, Brad has been great since he's been a part of the Boston organization. He's helped, bring this organization back in terms of winning, and is now, been able to move into that GM position and put the right pieces together to get us back to the finals.
On your right in the aisle, Mark.
Jalen, back here in the back right. Mark D'Amico, Celtics.com. Jason was just asked about looking back on that 22 finals as well, and he said, when I do look back on it, I'm just curious, how often did you look back on it and watch those tapes? Some people choose to flush it down the toilet and move forward. Some people choose to look back and learn from it on film. How often do you go back and watch that experience?
How often? I've watched it a few times now, maybe like 3 or 4 times, as well as last year's conference finals. I think you can always learn from, from anything really, but just being able to watch those moments, and learn from them, like how to manage your emotions and like what you would have did differently potentially. I don't think that's bad to look at and acknowledge and be aware of. So, I would say, a few times at least, I've watched, the finals, the whole thing all the way through.
Nicholas, second row here on the left.
Hey there, Jalen. Nick Galley, Field Level Media. You mentioned brand new team, brand new coach compared to the 2022 finals run. How has Joe's kind of approach just throughout the playoffs and here in the finals been different from Ime's?
Just 2 different people. So, 2 different guys. Joe got his own style. Ime had his own style. Both were great coaches. But Joe has been able to just emphasize, what we wanted to be offensively. And we're with Joe for a little bit longer. Joe had like the interim year, and now this is his second year in a sense. Ime only had 1 year, and you know, so it's hard to really compare and contrast, to be honest.
Shane in the front.
Jalen, Shane with Forbes Sports. Everyone kind of points to Derek's defense first when they talk about him as a player, but offensively, what can you say about his decision making and the ability to set ball screens and make plays out of that?
Yeah, I mean, Dwight has been great all season long. He's been aggressive. We've empowered him, and he's primed for these moments. We want him to come out and recognize when it's his time to strike, and we feel comfortable with him doing so because he's been doing it all season long.
Gary, next row.
JAYLEN, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. I asked Jason earlier about being one of the more scrutinized players in the postseason, and you can relate to that. You've been scrutinized throughout your career. Does that bond you together? Does that bring you together? Do you guys talk about that? Do you joke about that? And how does that affect like your mentality, your focus? You know, are you not as friendly? Does it affect you at all when you hear things? And how do you kind of take that into this moment where it's the biggest stage?
I think it's fair. I think it's a fair question. And I think it's fair to say that it does affect you, you know, being embraced versus being scrutinized. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes is like, the child who isn't embraced by the village or something like that, you will, what is it? Y'all know this quote, right? No? You will feel like the warmth, the child doesn't feel the warmth of the village will like burn it down or something like that. Yeah, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But, you know, referencing that, it means like, you know, you get to a point where it's like, you know, you get scrutinized enough for a large part of your career, and it becomes normal. And then it just rolls off you. For me, at least, I could say, I don't know if Jason feels the same way. It's kind of been that my whole career, in a sense, you know, just being booed when you were drafted, to saying you were overpaid, and saying you were overpaid again. It's been that the whole journey for me. So, you know, it just becomes another headline.
Bob, last question here on the left.
Hey, Jason. Bob Schron. Again, piggyback on Gary's question. Your journey has involved a lot. In the beginning, you were coming off the bench and was fighting for playing time. It goes back that far. And I know how Joe focuses on you guys focusing on the on the moment. But how do you frame the legacy of this group in terms of winning a championship? One of the guys asked about it being special as a Celtic, but it also has to do with you guys as a group.
And I think that's a great question as well. And I think this is a special group. I really do. The core group of it has been here for a few years now. We've been able to go through the experiences of, you know, having success but not having success at the same time. So I think that, you know, to solidify it, you know, the ultimate goal is to get over the hump and win. And I think that'll add a lot to our legacy. But as of right now, I mean, that story is still kind of untold.
Thank you, Jen. Jrue will be up next. Oh, first one, Vinny in the fourth, fifth row there in the gray.
So, Jrue, Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. How you doing, man?
Sure.
We talked to Jalen and Jason. They've come in here. They both talked about their experiences in the NBA Finals and how they've been scrutinized both ways. You played with Giannis when he was going through a period of being scrutinized before he won. As a teammate, do you read that? Do you see that? How do you sort of try to alleviate some of those pressures in the moment?
You do your best to stay away. I think your mental health is probably the biggest thing, especially playing in the NBA Finals. But not only that, I mean, everybody gets scrutinized, right? You know, when I was in Milwaukee, it was about Giannis not having enough help the first two games or whatever. The pressure that JB and JT have to take on is something different. And I've told him this before, but it's really, really impressive how they handle themselves, how they stay professional, how they still come out every game and do what they do. So, yeah, I think it's extremely impressive how they do that.
Dave, back right.
Jrue, Dave McBennett with ESPN. It's obviously a team defensive assignment to stop anybody on the Mavericks, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of possessions where you're locked up one-on-one against Kyrie Irving. What's your, what's that challenge like? What can you do to try to nullify, thwart, stop, whatever it is,
Pray.
Kyrie?
It's I think it's just familiarity. I think knowing each other's game, doing your best to stay in front of them, trying to take away the things that'll probably hurt you the most, and then probably most of all, having help. Him being able to see multiple guys on the court, making it look like it's crowded, making shots as tough as possible, even though he's a tough shot maker. So.
Over here on the left in the front.
Jrue, you've seen Jayson from the opposing side in big games. Has he evolved? Is he better than he was now than when you're seeing him on your side? Has he developed?
I think he's always been great, to be honest. I do think playmaking, he's done a really good job, and that's something that I never really saw from him before, where he's never afraid to take the big shot, or he's never been afraid of that big moment. But I think making the right plays in moments is something that I've noticed since I've been his teammate.
Nick, right next to him.
Nick Galley, Field Level Media. Jrue, you've been pretty open about playing with this team, how enjoyable it is, how comfortable you feel here. What makes this team different, and what makes it a team that can compete at this stage?
One thing, the talent. I know sometimes talent doesn't always mesh together, but this does. You saw it during the regular season. You've seen it throughout the playoffs, how any given night, everybody is just unselfish. I feel like we sacrifice for each other, and that kind of what makes it go. And then I think it's just the will to win. I think this team really wants to win. I know they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals a million times, and they've been to the finals, so they've been to the top, just didn't execute the way they wanted to. But now that we're here, we want to get the job done.
Tim Bontemps, back right.
Jrue, obviously you've played a lot of years in the league now and been through deep in the playoffs a bunch of times. So I was just curious, having played with Jayson fully for this year for the first time, what has stood out to you about his durability and consistency to be out on the court and play heavy minutes and carry the load he does all the time?
Yeah, he never wants to sit out. And I play with a lot of players, and when you have your best player who wants to play every single game and takes the game that seriously, and even if they're banged up with the ankle or a knee or whatever it is, and still goes out there and plays, I think it shows a lot. Not only him as a basketball player, but his character. So,
standing in the back left.
Yep, Jrue, Frank Arpano from NBC 10. When you come into this building and you look up to the rafters and you see 17 NBA championship flags, does it add to the pressure to want to add to that total?
Not for me. I would just like to add to it. I think to be a part of history would be cool, especially a history that the Celtics have and everything that comes with it. Again, I would say that I probably don't take bulk of the pressure just because we have Jayson and JAYLEN on our team. So, but to add to that is, I feel like a part of the reason why I was brought here and a part of the reason why I wanted to come.
On your right, Tomer, standing on the wall.
Hey, Jrue. Just curious, on the other side, Dallas has a couple guys in PJ and Daniel Gafford who were kind of going to be on lottery teams before they got traded. Now they're pivotal guys on a championship contending team. Just what does that say about them, but also just how much opportunity is important and fit is important in this league where guys can contribute heavily, just might be on a team that isn't the right fit for them?
Yeah, I saw somebody told me, they said they started from the bottom, like literally from the bottom, and now they're at the top. That's really cool to see. Especially playing against both of them during this season with their previous teams and seeing their role and seeing kind of how it went for them, and then now watching them in the playoffs and being intricate, huge parts of why their team is so successful. It is really cool to see. But they definitely are energy guys. They're guys that mesh well with that team and really make them go. And it's going to be a challenge for us to stop them.
Thanks, Jrue.
All right, guys.
That's all for today in here. Practice will be open